What up? What up? Right. This is episode 90 of the Collective Podcast. My man, my mellow, Rodney, O, Saucier, Rogers in the house. What's up, brother?
Good morning. Good morning. My name just keeps changing and getting longer.
Oh man. Well, we got the Rodney O. Um, Anthony Cobbs won't stop calling you Rodney Rogers. So I try to keep your government in there, you know. And then yeah. So Rodney and I discussed behind the scenes. We both have some interesting things to do today. So we're gonna let y'all go by 9, and it may be even earlier than that. And I say 9 Pacific, which would be 10 Mountain, 11 Central, and noon Eastern. Hold on a second. My man, my mellow. Yeah. All right, y'all. So here we are, episode 90. What up, Rod? What you got?
Hey, man, thankful for another morning. That's all.
Okay.
Long drives, uh, hostile coaches and players.
Oh, you had Jimmy Mack?
No, I didn't have Jimmy Mack. I may have had his twin sister.
Okay. Oh, twin sister. In a college game or high school?
College.
Okay. Well, we won't ask. We won't ask about the details. But yeah. So episode 90. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for viewing. Thank you guys for listening. However you find it. I am AC from LA. I think I'm my man here, Saucier Senior. He's got a lot of code names, but what he gives you on Twitter is Saucier_Senior. He even went kind of freaky on IG. And what's your new thing? Wild Sex Man Ref 562. what is it? What is your new moniker
Marvin
on
Gaye
IG?
Wild Zebra.
Wild Ref 562. I threw in the Sex Man. That's not really there. He just keeps that to the side with Nisha. He doesn't let the public know. So, all right, but here we are, episode 90. Sometimes we have a third, but he's got a lot of excuses. So I'm sure that he will come on at some point and be like, "Oh, I thought the podcast was Tuesday. My bad," and then he'll be here, or he won't. Either way, we're rocking. So, NFL coaches, Rod. We have a whole lot of stupid. We both just woke up. A whole lot of superstars on this stage here tonight. So NFL coaching carousel. What do we have? 2 openings left? 3 openings left?
I want to say 2, right?
I lost count. I lost count at 5. So I don't know if there was a 6th or if we're still at 5. I just know we still have
watching.
We still have one. We have one black coach and one Latino coach. We got Mike Tomlin and Ron Rivera.
Yeah.
And they were both already here. They were both already here. So look at this. Black NFL coaches say, Mike Tomlin? There's only one right now. Yeah. Oh, Roger Goodell. Results of NFL's coaching diversity efforts unacceptable. Yeah, sounds good, but it's not going to do anything for these 8 hires.
Well, my thing is always it's always reactionary. I put that on Facebook. It's always after someone does something or something happens that all of a sudden, yeah, we need to kind of work on this. It's never proactive. It seems like it's a trend in our country. It's always reactionary. I mean, just think about George Floyd. If someone had just said, "Hey, we need to investigate this," from the very beginning, I don't think you would have had this huge commotion in Minneapolis to start things off around the country. If they had just said, "Hey, we need to look into this and put some people's minds at ease," um, things could have been completely different. But to say, "Well, you can go home, folks. There's nothing to see here. It's over. Yeah, the man was dead and he was high, and we're not going to take it any further." Like, no, people want some answers. It's more to it than that. A lot
Right.
more to it than that.
Right.
So, do something before it happens. I mean, like, it takes a whole week to, and I don't want to beat a dead horse per se, but it takes a whole week for you to decide, "Hey, I think we should investigate this," after there's an angry mob outside your jail. For the simple fact that they just felt like they didn't get justice, and you're not even going to look into it. And now here we have an NFL. It takes Brian Flores to say, "Hey, I'm getting ready to file this class action suit," before Roger Goodell says, "Hey, we need to go ahead and try to figure out how to get better with diversity in the hiring process." I mean, like, well, shouldn't you have been doing that before his class action suit? You were just
Right.
done. You were done after the Rooney Rule.
And so, as you often do, you've made a good morning, Elaine. Good morning, all. Good morning, Elaine. What you've done is make another great point. So kudos to you, old man Rod, as they call you. By the way, we all expected you to call it we all expected you to say I posted it on the Facebook, since you're so old school. So it was weird that you just called it Facebook. Um, but you, you hit the nail on the head, right? Reactionary. And here's the thing: you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him or her drink. Right? Even without Brian Flores, there have been so many people outraged about these practices for so long, even with the Rooney Rule in place. So you'd almost have to, going with the horse analogy, have blinders on to not see that there was something missing, that there was already something unacceptable. So imagine if Roger Goodell, a day late and a dollar short, puts this out right before the Brian Flores class action suit. It would still be a little better for him, because it would be like, oh, we recognize this late, but before we had to have a class action suit filed against us. And his statements just really do lend credence to what Brian Flores is saying. So but again, it's all reactionary, and you can't even spin this one and say, oh, it was timing, because there have been decades of this, and through Roger Goodell's entire tenure, this has been, and Paul Tagliabue before him, this has been an issue. And you can do some things or you've done some things to help, but not enough. Like this needs to improve, and you're in a situation where you're just reacting, as Rodney said, and it's not good. And you're right, Rod. It happens in most of our major sports, and it happens in corporate America. It happens just all around. EPA, FDA, reactionary. All right.
Yeah.
Episode 90 of the Collective Podcast. Please like or love the podcast. Please share it. Please subscribe, and please comment if you are here. We keep hearing that a lot of you guys just watch and never say anything, and that's fine. We appreciate you coming through, but just drop a line and say hello. Just say, hey, hi. You know,
Hi,
in
Mom.
the comments. Pastor JC, what up?
She's a lurker.
And I know my mom stops through. Good morning, JC, Judy
But your
Carter.
mom actually
She's with us. Yeah, she does. She does. So yeah. Now that being said, let's go back to this. I want to give you guys actual details. Oh boy, Roger Goodell sent a memo to all 32 teams. You sent it to the Steelers too? I'm gonna get you guys the count in a second. But Rod, there are either 3 openings remaining or 2 openings remaining, and no new black coaches hired. So we're still at -1 versus last season. No, -2, right? Because David Culley and Brian Flores. So we're at -2. We were at 3, which was unacceptable. Now we're all the way back down to 1. And if we had high hopes about getting 4 of the 8 spots, that's quickly dwindling away. What are your thoughts?
I didn't expect it. Because sometimes when people are wrong, they'll just double down on it at that point. Like, oh well, since you feel that way, it's known now, so I'm just gonna do what I feel like doing in the first place. And I mean, that's been going on in our country in politics a lot in the last so many years, and in sports. And right about now, with the landscape of the NFL, just comparing it to Minneapolis, this would be around the time where the quote unquote rioters and looters and thugs would be out.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So openings that still remain. Hold on a second. Oh, by the way, Anthony Lynn, who was in my eyes wronged with the Chargers, was hired as the assistant head coach for the 49ers. So that puts him second in line behind Kyle Shanahan. Okay. Dolphins' job is still open. Minnesota's job is open, but it looks like it's going to the Rams offensive coordinator. That's the one. Okay. So we have Miami and New Orleans. Yeah, so that's it. 6 down. 2 to go. Only 2 openings left. Well, if you count Minnesota, there are only 2 openings left. So that's 6 white coaches, not mixed with any other ethnicities, hired, or 5 hired, 1 expected to hire right after the Super Bowl, and then 2 openings left. What did I say? Chicago and Miami?
Miami and Minnesota.
No, Minnesota's going to hire the
offensive coordinator. Yeah,
the Rams offensive coordinator. So yeah, it's Chicago. Wait, did Houston? Houston hasn't hired anybody, right?
No.
Okay, so that would be 3 openings. So Miami, hold on, let me just check it again. Miami, Houston. Oh no, Chicago did hire somebody. Miami and Houston. My bad. There you go, Rob. Miami and Houston. So there are just 2 openings. Okay. The 2 openings that fired black coaches are still open. Oh boy. Okay.
Yep.
So even if they hire black coaches, then we're just right back at 3 with the same 3 teams that we had last year. And all of you guys who thought, oh, it's a lock for Byron Leftwich to go home to Jacksonville. Nope. Not a thing. So UCLA men lost again, upset again by an unranked team, Arizona State. And so they're 3 now. I imagine the way that the pollsters do it, UCLA is probably going to drop to like 15. When they lost the other day to Arizona, that was a ranked team. They had, hold on. When they lost to number 7 Arizona, the idea was, okay, they're 3, they'll probably drop a little bit, and then they in the seeding projections, they dropped them down to the lowest number 2 seed, meaning that they're essentially like the 8th team to go into the tournament. And now that they've lost to Arizona State, they'll probably drop them down to like a 4 seed or something like that in the projections. Yeah, y'all thought you were getting something when HardCorePeace was, had them cornrows freshly done. Today he looked like he will F you up in the streets. He is ready to knock them out. He said he ain't getting prissy today. So it's Tuesday in Philadelphia. So Mike has joined us at 11:20 Eastern. So
I'm cooking French toast, man.
So Mike, just to get you caught up, we're gonna shut this down in 40 minutes or less. So we're only going an hour today. Rod and I've got to hit the streets. So we talked. We're getting closer to your number of 0-8, Mike. We are at 0 for 6 because they say Minnesota's hiring the Rams offensive coordinator. So there are 2 openings left, and ironically, coincidentally, whichever you want to choose, the openings are where the 2 black coaches were fired. Miami and Houston. Those are the 2 openings remaining. 5 white coaches hired, a 6th about to be hired next Sunday after the Super Bowl. 2 openings. We know where you stand on the NFL as a whole, but maybe you've got some comments on Roger Goodell's reactionary memo to NFL teams. Maybe you've got something to say about the 0 for 6 thus far, and maybe you don't, but I'm going to give you some time to talk.
Whenever I hear commissioners speak, I wonder why they're speaking. In this case, with the NFL knows that it is behind the woodshed. They're just waiting for the people to come up to whoop that ass. And so you're going to hear, just think about it. You heard statements from the Giants, the Niners, and the Dolphins this week. You heard statements. We aren't seeing interviews on ESPN or Fox or anything like that. These are statements. Roger Goodell made a statement. That's not solving anything. Only thing that's doing is appeasing the C students. That's the only thing it's doing. It's NFL PR. It's just a ridiculous thing. We all work in media, so when we see these crafted statements, we're like, okay, par for the course. This is what it is. The NFL gets 0 DAP from me right now. Nothing they can do right now outside of hiring a bunch of black coaches, starting a bunch of black quarterbacks, or giving some teams to some black ownership. I don't want to hear it no more. I don't actually want to hear about it because this is ridiculous. How I just saw. I don't watch ESPN. I just happened to watch it today, and I saw that they were basically analyzing the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft. I know in the mock drafts earlier they had Malik Willis one. Now he's falling to 2 or 3. They're talking about how he needs an extra year. But yet this dude Pickett, they say, oh, he's pro NFL ready right now to go. He doesn't have the big arm or the athleticism, but he's a baller. Said the same thing about Ritter, Cincinnati. Tangibles are great. We saw what he did with Cincinnati this year, but we don't trust his accuracy. Everyone is focusing on this goddamn coaching shit when the same things are happening. And only thing they're going to do is just basically bolster the NFL's case for keeping black people out of powerful positions. I don't know what else to say about this. It's so blatant in your face. There are probably black people who are reading the bottom line or the tickers for any station and saying to themselves, oh my gosh, interviews are happening. I can watch the NFL again. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Man, look, I told y'all last week, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I don't give a goddamn how long I've known you. If you continue to watch the NFL and you watch the Super Bowl, I have no respect for you. Zero respect. How would this change if the thought leaders, the people of us who are speaking out and telling the right things, are still going to fall in line and watch? What will change? I'm 53 years old, about to be 54 March 8th.
Hey, shout out to March 8th.
Yeah, me and Anthony got the same birthday. I do not want to spend the rest of my time on this earth with this same bullshit. Something happens. Black people get up in arms, talk about it for a couple weeks, sometimes only one day, and it's gone. The NFL obviously is heaving into his PR bag right now. I saw on SportsCenter, this could be a landmark day. Eric Bieniemy might get a job. They weren't speaking Eric Bieniemy's name until we brought it up again this year, or you would not have heard his name. Why is this guy still sitting on the sideline?
So let me further Mike's point. And I'll pose a question: how can it be a landmark day when we've had 6 white coaches hired in a row out of 8 openings, and we may get one overqualified black coordinator hired as a head coach, and he should have been had a job? And so then that's 1 out of 7. How does that make this a landmark day? A landmark day would be, let's walk back the other 6 hires and redo this thing. And of course, that's not going to happen. So I'm with Mike wholeheartedly. Like, what are we talking about here? Yeah, I don't want to stop these 2 openings from getting black coaches in them, but that's not progress. That's treading water. Because right now we're at -2 over last season. And we're at -7 over our high in this decade where we had 8, and it might have actually been 7. I don't remember if it was 7 or 8, but boy, did it look like the world was turning then. That was a landmark season, and then they all got fired.
My thing is the merit issue. And some people will say, I saw something on the Raiders group forum that someone said something about merit. And if we're just talking merit, if we take race out, if we take everything out and just speak only on merit, I'm a Raider fan. Josh McDaniels stunk it up in Denver. Then he got caught video on the 49ers practices. The list goes on, but it's kind of like this media push for him to succeed. As I sat and took a glimpse of ESPN, they were like, oh, he's going to do great this time because he learned so much from what went down in Denver. Well, what, just based on the fact that he was losing, why should he get another job when you have Brian Flores, who was winning with a team that was supposed to be at the bottom? And we're just talking merit. Why, why is it that you can say, well, these coaches need to be signal callers, and then several teams hire special teams coaches who don't call plays? Josh McDaniels is not going to have Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski when he gets to Las Vegas. So can he win with that? It's different when you have a team that's already put together. I mean, because with a guy like Brady, there's really nothing you can tell him. And Brady has cursed out and shooed away several offensive coordinators for New England on the sideline. And they just call it him being fiery and wanting to win.
He's just
passionate. But realistically, he's shooing them away because there's nothing that they can tell him that he doesn't know. They've never walked down that path of being a quarterback. So they don't see what he sees. And now they're going to have to coach these teams without a Aaron Rodgers, without a Tom Brady. And that makes the coaching status equal. So it's going to be a little different from being an offensive coordinator where, hey, you can draw up a play, but you haven't actually had to command a whole team. And now when you go with Eric Bieniemy, his resume pretty much outdoes everyone's. And now, he doesn't get a job for maybe the fourth or fifth time around. I've lost count.
So out of 129 vacancies since the Rooney Rule has been applied, 15 coaches have been black in those spots. 129, 15.
And I really don't even count David Culley. I mean,
I don't count him either.
And I don't count what's his name in Arizona before Kingsbury.
Oh, Steve.
Yeah.
It
starts with an S. Not Steele.
Steve. I can't remember Steve something.
But I don't even count those two. I mean, like that was. I don't know what that was. Well, there's been a bunch of black coaches. Has been the first person with a job. He should have been first. When you can take a team with a rookie quarterback without pieces in place, who's supposed to be tanking, and win back-to-back years and be in the playoff conversation by year 2. I mean, basically, if
Kayla, close your door. You're really loud.
If any one of those teams loses, Cincinnati, the Raiders, Miami's in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That's how well of a job he did. So he's working with a guy who came off major hip injury and was basically a rookie. And he takes that team and wins with them. So we know what he can do without a star quarterback. We don't know what the others can do. His case is proven. So he should have had, just on merit, if we're just talking merit, which is what people like to throw out there. Well, it shouldn't be based on race. Yes, it shouldn't. I agree with that.
Right now, it should be. Right now, it absolutely should be.
Right.
I don't want to hear. That's another disclaimer for people that people use. Should be about race. We have a racial problem. So obviously, it's been about race. White coaches have been hired. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They've been hired because they're white. So I mean, these are these little things that keep happening. these comebacks from these people. Look, you are straight evil. If you are saying any kind of but back to a black person right now regarding black coaches, you are evil. Black people, white people, if you engage with someone who says a but, when you say there's a racial problem in the NFL, to save your soul, your heart, so you don't get all this kind of anxiety, eliminate the possibility of speaking to the person ever again. Step out of the conversation. You can't help them. They obviously are speaking from a racist viewpoint, or they wouldn't come with a but. This is on us as citizens. This is on us as sports fans. This is the stuff on us as black people and as humans. This country, this world has been set in stone for thousands of years in terms of the way people reply, the way people interact with each other, especially how white folks interact with black people. We are looked at as lower class, less intelligent, lazy, and what have you. So we don't have the intelligence and the wherewithal to say, there should be some black coaches in the NFL. And then they say, well, it's the NFL's money. It's the white dude's money. They can do what they want with it. But they cool with seeing the brothers running around on the field, scoring touchdown points for them so they win fantasy leagues. I'm completely done. I'm completely done. Like, there is nothing in my soul. There is nothing in my soul that says to me, I want to watch an NFL game. It used to be Cam and Lamar Jackson, Deshaun, and all the other talent at other positions, that drew me closer and made me want to watch, and I began to speak it in only player terms, not team terms. That's not enough.
Right.
It's not enough for me to stop patronizing teams, but still watch because I love the players. I was speaking to Cole Wiley yesterday, Rock Wiley's son. Mm-hmm. We were speaking last couple of weeks, whatever. But me and him have been cool for so long. And we have this thing that we're saying that we're speaking in the future. I think I might have said this last week in a point. But we are commenting on the egregious process of black coaches in the NFL. We are speaking way in the past, like way in the past. So the conversation is way in the past. And some people say, it was 2022. That's an obvious reality. But that triggers the mind to say we should be having these same conversations in 2022, yet still we are. And before we can really address the conversation by having a microphone in front of ownership's face, there's going to be pushback and pullback and push and fight and debates over why these guys aren't getting jobs. White people don't come on my page no more. I am very unapologetically straightforward for a reason, because the conversation then starts. Other people can ramp up their levels of protest. I'm doing what I think I need to do. I know I have to be extreme for people to understand in other levels. White people don't come on. They don't come on. Like I do say on my page, look, if you say but, I'm going to block you or delete you or something like that, because I'm very serious about that. I'm very serious about it. Like,
I've seen
don't
it.
say but. Like don't come on my page saying but, because that's how you eliminate the black trolls. They won't come because you got to go out in front of them and tell them not to come.
Yeah.
I'm at a loss of words, man. I just don't understand. I don't understand how, we pick up a football based on, either our parents or, especially our fathers, watching the game with buddies, and all these things. Like I told y'all before, I became enamored with football by watching my dad and his boys sit around and watch O.J. Simpson at USC. And I was going to do orange juice. And you have this love for this game, and you grow up and you pick up a football, and you find out how you can throw it and be steady quarterback and playing touch football in the street. We play tackle in the street here, but you see somebody on the TV who strikes you. That guy for me was Lynn Swann. The gracefulness in his catches. Then we had Jefferson come along and do the same type of things. Air Coryell with the Chargers. All the great defenses that we've seen over our lifetime. Steel Curtains and the Baltimore defense, the great Eagles defense that didn't get to really shine. It's kind of coincidence, or it's not a coincidence. They had a black quarterback. And no receivers, no running game,
Right.
These things are just repeating over time. What I'm doing right now is going back to different decades and watching movies. I'm watching movies because you can pretty much tell how the pop culture of the day is based on these movies. So the conversation really is going to be stuck in the pop culture of the day. So if you have certain people, pundits on ESPN or whatever, speak a certain way about black coaches, and then you got a guy like me who's like having zero tolerance, people will be like, what's this zero tolerance dude talking about? Why is he so angry? Because the pop culture of the day, we speak in the net of that. People don't really go outside the parameters of it because they want to be known as someone who's knowledgeable based on them listening to pundits speak about certain things. I like, just like when I'm going to a locker room or a press conference or something like that, I like to have no question. I like to have a clear mind, no questions in mind, so I can be prepared on a dime to ask a question that's relevant. If I go in there with a prepared question, I'm going to miss a point. I'm asking people right now to turn off the TV, put the whole issue on the table, whatever you have you, and say to yourself, what's going on here? How do I interact with my peers? My brethren, my black brethren who are so upset about this. I don't have a reason to be upset. I see a bunch of white coaches. My son wants to be a coach. He wants to base his career on Bill Belichick or Parcells or Bill Walsh or one of these dudes. He has the soul models for him. We're trying to apply that to our community, not because it's football and sports, but because it's success. It's a mirror of success. When a guy scores a touchdown, it's success. That's the reason why you see all these brothers dancing. They know all the preparation that they've done throughout their careers, from little six, itty bitty football to graduating from college. This is hard work for them. They are glad to score a touchdown, not because it's make the money. It's the pinnacle. It's what you do in football. The goal is to score points. Fans love points. Most of the points that fans see scored are by black men.
Yeah.
That's not conjecture. You can pretty much say that because what the skill positions is black for the most part. The defensive backs and linebackers and everybody that's catching interceptions, most of them is black.
So
like your whole sport that you're watching is black, but yet you don't want to see the coaches. You don't say "but" when you see a Dalvin Cook on the field.
Right. Let's
But
take
you
it a
say
step
"but"
further.
when a black guy wants to get hired. Like, this is crazy. Like I've been saying the name Ike Hilliard and T. Martin and all these other dudes who are there stacking again. This is a matter of stacking. They're stacking all the black coaches together. They're not taking them and dissecting them to where they're individual, to where they can get any job. They're saying to themselves, well, who can we fit in as a black coach into this team here? What team can we fit in for them? Like you see it all the time in the off season, right? As soon as the season ends, you hear about the quarterbacks changing hands. And a lot of times, just like the black coaches, you will have a black quarterback being asked to replace another black quarterback. Or they say, well, why don't you just draft Jalen Hurts to back up Lamar Jackson? It's comedy to me, but it's going to be funny. It's going to continue to be funny until our people understand what's really going on.
So let's take it a step further. We've had in all of our lifetimes several teams come open for ownership change or the team being put up for sale. We got one currently being put up for sale. And they get constantly denied ownership.
See Wills.
Yeah. They constantly get denied ownership for professional sports teams.
Rodney, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why before you finish. I came across an article this week about the sale of the Denver Broncos. In this article, they were talking about, are NFL teams getting too big? Are they getting to cost too much? I thought it was a very thorough article in that regard. There were 2 points made, though, that made everything very clear for me. To give you a backdrop, like me and my girl are going to LA Film School, and we're trying to, we want to write screenplays and the like. There are templates for movies. Most of them follow Shakespeare's tragedies. All of them do. All of them. They have to have certain elements in a movie. So black writers of screenplays and books and what have you, if you don't have the information, the minimum standard, you're going to be turned away regardless of how great your screenplay is.
Right.
So if you're not told about the template, you have no way of getting in. In the NFL, the majority of the teams are owned by either families or really rich dudes, right? The NFL wants the family thing. It's long money, it's old money. That's their excuse for it. They also want you to have $2 billion in liquid cash. So you're not going to be able to own a team unless you have that $2 billion. You know how many black people that eliminates?
Right.
So they have these things in place before ownership happens. They want you to either be family ownership or have $2 billion in cash. That's how they're excluding us right here, right now. Until we speak in those terms. Okay, brothers, don't make a team, $2 billion in cash. Maybe get it. I don't know if it's going to help to get a bunch of rich black dudes together. Like, I don't think that the NFL is going to allow that to go in, because they probably think, well, they're just going to hip hop the league. They're going to have a black coach. They're going to have a black quarterback. They're going to have black cheerleaders. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have black concession people, which we already got black concession people. You're going to see Anthony Carter and Rodney out there running around, throwing flags. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be all these things that's going to happen. What they think is going to happen if they allow blacks to come in and own teams. Like, this is crazy to me. It's so stupid. But we allow the stupidity because we keep watching. We keep watching. It's not going to change. I've been dealing with so many fans this week. They were saying, well, black people watch it. It's not going to help. It's not going to help if you stop watching. The NFL is still going to turn on. Like, there's all these buts and can'ts and don'ts and won'ts. And I'm like, yo, shut the fuck up, y'all. Shut up. You don't have any positivity in your soul to think that you can achieve something based on your merit. But you want to rather be stuck in the PTSD. And it's okay. I just choose not to deal with that. But I'm going to spend my $200, $300 on a ticket for me and my son to watch the game. Oh, Joe Burrow, he's the greatest thing. He's going to be great. That Malik Willis, he's not going to play. He ain't going to play. Jalen Hurts, he sucks. Josh Allen was way better than him. Did you see the comparison of Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts stats this week that it was going around?
I did.
Perception ain't reality. That's another thing we need to stop saying as people. This perception is reality. Stop saying it. Just stop saying it. It's not.
I always say stats don't tell the story.
Stats don't tell a story, but they do in this case.
Yeah.
Because what they're showing is the maturity, the upward trajectory. Josh Allen has exploded. Yeah. But he's exploded because of Stephon Diggs.
And that's what I was going to point to. They don't tell the story for the simple fact that Josh Allen has everything you need for a winning team.
Yep.
And Jalen Hurts doesn't, but Jalen Hurts' numbers across the board are better.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing more with less.
Let me give an update. And then we need to close out. Let me get in real quick. So I mentioned 2 openings. I forgot about New Orleans. So let me give you the update because while I was getting back in, I did some reading. So the New Orleans job is still open as well. So you have New Orleans, you have Miami, you have Houston. However, in Miami, you have 2 coaches that have completed, 2 people that have completed second interviews, and they're both white. So the other people just had 1 interview. It's possible that somebody could still have a second interview pending, but that's not what the tracker says. So it looks like Miami may be going with the white coach. In Houston, Brian Flores is one of the people that has had a second interview. And so you still have Houston and New Orleans all 3 of those are open, but Miami's not looking good. And I know we moved on from this, but I just wanted to give the update because I said that there were still 2 openings, but there are actually 3. And then one other thing that I know this won't sway anything, but you missed this, Mike, earlier when we mentioned it. Anthony Lynn was hired as the assistant head coach for the 49ers. So second in command. Josh McCown, yes, Josh McCown is one of the finalists for the Miami job. Josh McCown is one of the finalists for the Miami job. Josh McCown with no coaching experience is
on any level
one of the finalists for the Miami job.
On any level.
So you do that. You do that with. I don't know who you do that with. You do that with Hall of Famers, but you don't do that in football at all. You've done it in the NBA. You've done it at the collegiate level in sports, but in the NFL, that's what we're doing. Mike dropped off. Go ahead and close out, Rod.
Hey man, it's crazy to me.
Oh, Nina told me to tell you need to fix your lighting.
I know, Captain Obvious.
And we won't mention the other thing that you said, but go
ahead. But again, like I said from the top, this reactionary thing.
Oh, you want to let him close out?
Huh?
You want to let him close out first, or you want to go?
It doesn't. I'm brief. It'll be quick.
Okay, go ahead.
They have to stop this reactionary thing in sports and politics and all the rest of this stuff, man. It's too much. It's too much, and you can't expect people to stay patient You know, we saw what happened when George Floyd got killed and nothing was investigated for over a week. You know, it's kind of like when someone asks nicely and they're trying to be patient about it, you dismiss them. And then when they get angry because of the built-in frustration, you villainize them. I think the NFL should have just stayed away from releasing a statement altogether after Brian Flores filed the suit. They would have been better off saying no comment until we investigate whatever's going on. To come out and say that they really strive for diversity and I'm paraphrasing, and all this other stuff that they said in their statement was a slap in the face. It really was a slap in the face. And then a few days later, Goodell comes out with a statement saying, yeah, we're going to work hard to fix this problem. Well, in one statement, you're saying Brian Flores' lawsuit is meritless and there is no problem. And a few days later, you're saying, hey, we're gonna do everything we can to fix this. I mean, like, you're giving this man ammunition while everyone's vehemently denying that what he's saying is true. I don't think that he would go forward with this case just based on a few text messages from Bill Belichick. And I don't think Hugh Jackson would be chiming in on this case if they didn't know something or have something concrete to go to court with. And again, it's a slap in the face. And there's no way in hell you can tell me some of these teams are not purposely tanking for the number one quarterback or player in the draft. We know they are. But now it's coming to light about how it happens. And I hope that if they are found guilty, they get some jail time. They'll probably go to Club Fed where they get vegan meals and all that kind of stuff. But I hope they go. I don't care where it is. I hope they go. I'm done, man. That's frustrating, and that's yeah. I'm through.
You know, so here's the thing with all these conversations. Like Anthony, I mean, both of you guys are making great points today, right? And I'm trying to, you know, kind of put different points that you're saying in my mind so I can reply with them. You know, the memory is just so shot that I forgot half the things you said already, Rodney. But you know, when it comes to the NFL and its racist practices, just this I want people to say. Just perspective. This team, this league, had a racist name in DC since its inception. There's always been all kinds of racist things that are coming up. We just got over Colin Kaepernick. The fact that there are no owners and coaches is the statement that Goodell, as Rodney said. I mean, it was such a contradiction. And it was embarrassing to say, but these type of statements again are really attaching themselves to the casual fans of the league that might turn it on and say, but it's also going to dispel notions from lifelong fans that the NFL is racist by the NFL come out and making a stand and saying this here or this there. You know, I have a huge question. Anthony Lynn was known as a defensive coach, right?
Yeah.
You know, because again, we said it before. You know, he was the first coach to really beat Deshaun and Lamar in the playoffs and playing a bunch of defensive backs. So did I see that he got hired as an OC?
No, he's the assistant. He's the assistant head coach.
But he's as an OC though, as an offensive coach. Check that out. I'm not completely sure, but I'm pretty sure. I think that I saw that it was an offensive kind of position.
I was wondering why they hired him in the first place.
You know, because these lateral moves that happen are really something. But, you know, where's Jay-Z at?
Okay, so let me give you guys some background. Now, mind you, this is your closeout, Mike. We're about to shut it down, but let me give you this. So, Mike McDaniel is one of the finalists for the Miami job. If Mike McDaniel goes, then Anthony Lynn is probably the offensive coordinator and assistant head coach for the 49ers. If he doesn't go, then Anthony Lynn is the assistant head coach of the 49ers.
What position, though? The assistant head coaches have positions. I'm saying it was weird to me how it came out. Like Rodney was saying, I don't know why he got hired.
I just answered that. Mike McDaniel is probably getting the Miami job. And so then Anthony Lynn will become the offensive coordinator of the 49ers.
But he's a defensive coach. That's what I'm saying.
But he was so I'm not going to limit him to that, and I need to check that. But I'm not going to limit him to that. He was a head coach, and he was a head coach that did well, so he can do everything now. So right. If he gets to be an OC on the road to being back to being a head coach, then let's roll.
What I'm saying is are they switching this dude's acumen by bringing him in as the offensive coordinator instead of utilizing his tremendous defensive talent? Like he's going to be working.
So no, he wasn't. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to clear that up for you guys. He was a running back. He was a running backs coach. He is the 49ers running backs coach and is probably going to be the offensive coordinator if Mike McDaniel gets hired. He is an offensive guy. He's not a defensive guy.
But he was known as a defensive coach.
Then that had to be philosophy because he was a running backs coach. He hasn't had a defensive job.
I know that. I'm just saying that, listen, what I'm saying is, okay, predating LA, San Diego, what do you want to call it? You know, he was known as an offensive coach. Like you said, running backs coach, whatever, running back. He comes into the team. He shifts the team defensively. Like the culture changed defensively with the Chargers. And after so many years of having all of these great defenses, Anthony Lynn was brought in, and it seemed like they were getting on a cusp of getting that defensive mindset perception back, you know. And like I said, the reason why I'm saying this is because of how he implemented this defensive scheme against Lamar Jackson, coming off a 6-1 year and no one knowing what he could do.
So that's just him knowing football better than other people, but that's not
Anthony, let me clear this up because I'm sorry, I'm being vague here. So this is my fault. What I'm saying is I hope that he isn't being asked to switch or whatever without using his full capabilities.
And I got you. And what I'm saying is he hasn't had a single defensive job in his entire career. And remember, when they fired him, they hired a defensive coordinator as the head coach. He started off as a special teams assistant. He was in a running backs coach for Jacksonville, running backs coach for Dallas, running backs coach for Cleveland.
I know that, Anthony. I know that. What I'm saying, this is what I'm saying as an analyst, fan or whatever. That team changed defensively because of Anthony Lynn. Like he was not known because he had what he had. He had Phillip Rivers and all kinds of other offensive players at the time. The perception and of the Chargers at the time when Lynn was there was not of that he was such an offensive guru coming in to score a lot of points. I'm just looking from where I'm at in Philadelphia and looking out to LA and watching football and seeing like a different thing with the Chargers. They had the offensive players in place.
Okay, but I hear that, but I think we're getting lost in the weeds. Kyle Shanahan is an offensive coach, but the 49ers defense is great.
No, but see, you don't have a perception though of Kyle Shanahan being a defensive coach.
I don't think that there was that perception for Anthony Lynn. I think that the team just got better defensively and they knew how to do some things with Lamar Jackson. But I don't know that there was ever and even if there was, I think that this is the opposite of you guys' argument. Like, he is an offensive guy. He was literally just the offensive coordinator in Detroit. He's an offensive mind.
I know these things. I know that. I know these things. What I'm saying is, are they plugging him into a square peg? That's all I'm saying.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that. I don't. So I don't know, but I don't understand how you bring a guy in as the running coach who is also the assistant head coach and probably going to be the OC if Mike McDaniel gets the job, but then we're asking if they're putting him somewhere that is not going to accentuate his talents. Like, he's an offensive guy, mostly. And, like, he's had 20 years of offensive jobs outside of the head coaching job. And he's on the road to be the offensive coordinator for the 49ers. So I don't know the answer for sure, but I think that if they put him in as the defensive backs coach, then that wouldn't be accentuating his talent.
No question. I'm just saying, man, it's coming out of nowhere. It's a weird hire. You know, I'm just saying to myself, why did he in particular get hired there? Now,
well,
there's a turnover. I'm just saying.
He was fired by Detroit. He's fired by Detroit.
Allow me to backtrack a little bit.
We got to get off, guys. But go ahead.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, when you seeing these black coaches get other jobs, you know what I mean? This is something that we don't normally see. Regardless if they're moving laterally to coordinator positions or such, you don't normally see another black coach get some type of job. You're seeing Raheem Morris, you know what I mean, being passed around in the league, and other guys like that. Maybe Anthony Lynn is this guy. I'm not saying I'm glad that he's got another job. I'm not saying that I don't want him to get another job. I'm just saying that it's a weird hire to me. Like, it just walks off the page to me, and I'm just trying to assess what it truly is. I'm not trying to diminish who he is and what he has done and what he will do in the future. I'm just saying that I have to ask questions about certain things because it just seems weird to me. That's all.
Okay, I mean, and that's fair, and I guess it seems weird to Rod too, but it makes perfect sense to me. Like, if you don't have an OC opening, and you got assistant head coach, which I understand you wanted the position, so I just remembered it was running backs coach. After it wasn't a successful offensive coordinator stint in Detroit, because Detroit is, it's a piece of shit team anyway, so they got rid of all of them. There's an opportunity for him to continue the push to get back, and it happens to go through San Francisco. Like, it makes perfect sense. Running backs coach, offensive coordinator, and potential offensive coordinator of that team.
What are you saying? You're gonna see a bunch of black coordinators with a bunch of white coaches. Like, that's it's horrible for me.
So then the alternative is to not hire him. Like, he doesn't have a job. So then what? He didn't even interview for any of these jobs.
Anthony, come on now. We're going back to the Rooney Rule. Don't act like that. Don't act like that there is a preponderance of black coaches being hired all over the place. That's not the case. I'm glad he has a job. Don't get that twisted. What I'm saying, I'm glad he has a job. I'm glad he has a job that's influential. But when you look at the playoffs of these teams, you're seeing white coaches and black coordinators. So what I'm saying is, these black coordinators should be head coaches, because what they're doing is they're augmenting all of these teams and putting them in position to win a Super Bowl title. Look at Leslie Frazier. Anthony is going to be the guy next year because San Francisco is going to have a good team. So what this going to do is that going to delay him from getting another head coaching shot, because he'll be so good as a coordinator, overqualified. That's the word you used earlier. He's overqualified to be a running backs coach or a defensive coordinator. Fully. Like, is he going to get another shot? I hope he gets another shot.
There's no way that he doesn't. There's no way that Anthony Lynn doesn't.
Say that.
We can't say that about David Culley. We can't say that about Steve Wilkes. But we actually can say that about Anthony Lynn. We can.
We cannot.
All right.
How can you when there's no black coaches, head coaches? How can you say that?
Because of what he did in San Diego / Los Angeles. I just, there are certain people.
There are a bunch of dudes like that in the league, though, that are great at what they do, but they're not getting the opportunities.
No, he was great. No. He was great as a head. No. He was great as a head coach, so you can't deny him. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, no doubt about it.
So that's what I'm talking about. So he and Brian Flores, we still wait. Jim Caldwell got the Detroit gig after the Indianapolis thing. So they certain people, they gotta give you the second one. I'm still waiting on Lovie Smith to get the second one. But what I'm saying is, and even Vance Joseph, but it was a different kind of thing with Anthony Lynn. Like, he proved, and you shouldn't have to because people are retreads, right? Doug Peterson, he's back. They're trying to bring Dan Quinn back and some other people like that before other people get actual first opportunities. But Anthony Lynn is a guy who will be back. We can say that. And I could be wrong, but I can say that with conviction. I can't say that about David Culley. I can't say that about Steve Wilkes. Steve Wilkes is back in college. And I don't even know where David Culley came from. So, it was one and done for him. It was one and done for Steve Wilkes. Steve Wilkes did actually become a coordinator. And most of these coaches, the black head coaches that get fired, do immediately become coordinators. I don't think that it's going to happen with David Culley, but it actually did happen with Steve Wilkes, even though you guys don't even count him as a real head coach for when he was there in Arizona. But I think that Vance Joseph is another guy that's going to be back. He's a defensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals. He had his stint as a head coach in Denver.
That's all good, Anthony. That is all good, but will they get a shot to be a head coach? That's
what I'm talking about. When I say I think that these guys are coming back, that's what I'm talking about. But the Anthony Lynn thing that it puzzling you guys baffles me. This team is a Final Four team, and they hired him as soon as he was available, or as soon as they could hire people, they hired him. And I don't understand why. Yes, I do not also understand why he's not a head coach. But if he's not a head coach, I don't understand the questions about him being brought in. And we're talking about, is he out? Is he would you say a square in a whatever you said? A square peg in a round hole.
Anthony, I'm just trying to move this forward. Yes, he is the offensive coordinator of a top 4 team right now. Okay, that is all well and good. This of course, he deserves that shot. What I'm saying, post this opportunity right here, we cannot guarantee and say that he will get a head coaching a shot. How can we say? That's all I'm saying. How can we say that he will be guaranteed a head coaching shot when there's been 15 coaches out of 129 opportunities since the rule has been implemented? That's all I'm saying. We can't see these things as anomalies. We got to see the fact that Leslie Frazier has been tooling around, and Lynn has been tooling around. A bunch of these other guys. Roman Cromell is someone who got multiple shots, but he was just such a professional. But I want to see the rest of these dudes who are very deserving to get their second shots, third shots, fifth shots, 97 shot, like all the rest of these dudes. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to sit here and hold and say that Anthony Lynn is going to get a shot. We do not know that for sure. We hope that he will get a shot, but we do not know. He could be mired, if you want to call it that way, in a coordinator's position that has most likely prohibited a bunch of black coaches from getting head coaching jobs based on the greatness of them being coordinators. This is what we're seeing across the league. We're seeing everybody's talking about it. You can look at the Saban in Georgia and Clemson and all their staffs. They're all black staffs.
And so I gotta go. So we're gonna move this to the next episode. Okay. But I don't agree with that. I don't agree that they're too good for their own. Hey,
Anthony,
I don't agree that they're too good for their own good. It's fucking racism. We've already been talking about that. Right. So it can't be racism and they're too good for their own good. It's not that they're too good for their own good. It's fucking racism. Because the white coaches are not too good for their own good.
Right. I'm speaking to the racism, Anthony. You're missing what I'm saying to you because you're a San Francisco 49er fan. Okay?
No, it's not about being
it's saying not right here. I'm agreeing.
It's not about being a 49er fan.
I'm actually agreeing with what you're saying. Because what you're saying is right. These guys should not be diminished because they're so good, and of course they should be. They're very deserving of being hired in these elite positions, like the 49ers position. I'm not saying that I don't want him there. I'm just saying that will he get another shot because he's going to do a great job with the 49ers.
But this is what I'm saying, and this has got to be it. What you're saying is these black coordinators have been so great that they're what, invaluable to the teams that they're with, so they're not getting these other jobs. That's not a thing. They're not getting the job because they're not being hired.
There's only one guy that's a coach in the league. They're not being hired.
Right, but it's not because they're great coordinators. That doesn't make any sense.
Oh no, I'm not.
But you literally said that.
Let's move on. Let's move on because you're missing what I'm saying here. Because I'm actually agreeing with you.
All right, episode 90 of the Collective Podcast. We appreciate y'all coming through. I don't have time to close out. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace. I gotta go, y'all. You guys can keep